All right, you welcome to this channel once again. My name is Akinwale. I'll be speaking today on 7 key factors in IMS surveillance audit. IMS is Integrated Management System. So, if you have implemented any standard, ISO 27001, ISO 20000, ISO 22301, ISO 9001. All right, any of those standards or combination thereof. All right, so congratulations for your certification. But of course, we know it doesn't end there, right? Certification takes have a life cycle of 3 years. Okay, so you have the first year. At the end of the first year, you are going to have the first certification audit. In the second year, you're going to have the second certification audit. All right. Then the third year, there will be a recertification if you are still interested in retaining the certification. And the surveillance audit is a key aspect of the certification process, and the certification body actually they have the right to suspend your certificate. They have the right to withdraw your certificate. All right, depending if whether they are comfortable or whether they are satisfied based on the external audit reports, the findings of the external auditors. All right, I'm preparing this particular video for implementers and for auditors that are about to have surveillance audits. Okay. So I will be looking at 7 key factors that should be considered by the implementers when you are preparing for your surveillance audits. These are the areas that the auditors will definitely check. All right, and the first area of consideration I want to mention is the culture. All right. Even though you will not, unlike in COVID, if you look at COVID, you will see culture mentioned clearly there, all right, as one of the key considerations, all right, but you will not see that word culture in most of the ISO, really, 27,001. I don't think there is, 22301. I'm not sure you can find directly that word culture, but in so many ways, all right, they are actually, indirectly mentioning it, all right, that the essence is, have you been able to create a system that works, a system that runs, all right? So we want to check the repeatability of your processes. We want to check the predictability of your processes. We want to be sure that the IMS culture have actually been ingrained into daily operations, been ingrained into the attitude, all right, of the workers. And that's why you see we check our next. If you check clause 5, all right, that's leadership, all right. He's talking about culture. All right. We all know that culture is drawn from leadership of the end of the organization. You can't talk about culture without leadership. All right. So culture flows from the top down. Culture don't flow from from bottom up. All right. I've had some theories like that, but it's not true. All right. You cannot initiate a cultural revolution from the bottom of an organization and you expect it to go up. All right. In fact, even if you look at the law of nature, physics, all right. So something is coming from up, is going down. It's already aided by gravitational force, is it not? All right. But if you want to take something from down, you want to take it up. Aha. All right. So you will need what in well engineering what they call artificial lift, right? You will need artificial lift. So it is going to be more challenging. All right. In fact, you will need all manner of engineering wonders to be able to take something from down to the top. So culture comes from the leaders of an organization, and that's what clause 5 is talking about. And also, if you look at the Annex A, all right, so you have the organizational controls, you have the people controls. Why do we have the people control? It's because of culture. That's what I'm talking about, all right? It's talking because with also, so you start with recruiting rights, all right? So you look at the first control in that people control is screening. All right. And that's still talking about culture. So right from the gate of the organization, you are trying to ensure that you at least you are able to weed out people with certain characters or wanted characters. All right. Right at the recruitment point. And so we talk about screening, we talk about terms and conditions. All right, terms and conditions of employment are being communicated. We talk about awareness. What is that? It's talking about culture. So the audit when the auditors are auditing you uh for surveillance audits, they want to check evidence of that culture. So, like I said, people controls are very key. All right. So they want to check since the time you got the certification, all right, how many people have joined the organization since then? Are they in the know? All right. So they want to check. Okay, since the certification, we recruited 10 new workers. So they want to review the onboarding materials of those 10 workers. They want to, may you want to interview those 10 workers. Guys, are you aware that this company was got ISO XYZ certification a year ago? All right. If they say yes, okay, can you tell me what you know about 27,001? Can you tell me about what you know about 22301? Do you have any role to play in this certification? All right. So they want to check that your new, the people that you have onboarded, they want to check awareness. Like I said, one of the ways culture is promoted is through awareness. So you have people control awareness, which is also in clause, is it 7.3? All right, so you have 7.3 also, awareness, also talking about culture. So they want to see how many awareness sessions have you held since your certification. So these are key issues which if you actually, they are just there for you if you can just ensure that yes, we can demonstrate that the certification has been ingrained into our culture. And like I said, one of the ways you can show that is in the area of awareness. All right, is in the area of leadership. All right, communication. So it's not those where you're about to get certification that the MD, the CEO will write what we call it executive support letter. All right. So we want to see continual communication from the office of the CISO, from the office of the CEO, from the office of the CIO, from the board to the entire organization. We want to keep on seeing those communications on the relevant standard you have implemented. All right, and one of the ways to actually rest this issue of culture is your calendar. ISMS calendar, BCMS calendar, SMS calendar. So that's what clause 8.1, all right, is actually talking about. All right. So you want to be able to see the operation, the operational running of what you have implemented, of the standard you have implemented. So let's see your SMS calendar. Let's see your SMS calendar. What plans do you have in January? All right. Have you been able to do it? What do you have in February? Were you able to do it? All right. What was planned for first quarter? All right. BCMS test, we'll do fire drill in first quarter, we'll do internal audit semi-annually. All right. So we'll do risk assessment annually. So the auditors want to check that your IMS calendar is very important. If you are preparing that's why you see, when we are preparing for certification, you may submit anything. You have to be very careful. all right, you have to be very, very careful. What you have, all right, in your IMS calendar should be something you can do. All right, so it should be something that will not be too difficult, extremely difficult for you to implement. Because if not, it's going to defeat the purpose of implementation. I'm not saying you should, all right, you should lower your standard, but if you look at, all right, I remember that I think we have like different approaches to implementation. You have the business approach, you have the systematic approach, you have the system approach, all right? You have the iterative approach. I'm sure many of us that have gone through lead implementer, lead auditor training, we know what I'm talking about. All right, so iterative approach is allowed. Where you can start small, all right, and then you grow. All right, so you meet the basics. Start from the basic requirements. Then maybe in the second year, you raise the bar. In the third year, you raise the bar. It's allowed. It's allowed. Instead of raising the bar beyond what you can implement. So your IMS calendar, you say we are going to be doing fire drill weekly. Nobody force you, all right, to put weekly there. Nobody force you to put weekly there. But now, after you have gotten the certification, now we have celebrated, everybody is happy. Now, to now implement will become a problem. And that will defeat the whole cause of implementation. Are you getting me? So the IMS calendar is a proof that you have a culture, all right, that the implementation is not just for photo shoots. All right. It's an what we call objective evidence. All right. It's an objective evidence that you are very serious about the implementation. So please and please, implementers, check your IMS calendar, ensure you are following it. Okay, factor two is documentation. All right, you have implemented, you have got certification. Now you are preparing for your surveillance audit, your documentation is a primary consideration. All right, so we want to see evidence of the review. All right, so your surveillance audit is coming up like 1 year after certification. 1 year is a long time in the lifetime of an organization. That's the truth. All right, so we want to see evidence of review. All right, we want to see evidence of updates if there is need. Note that review does not necessarily mean that there will be an update, right? So if you have a review and document that say, okay, fine, leave it as it is. But if there's a need to change certain things, why not? You have to change them. So we want to see evidence of review of the documentation, we want to see evidence of approval of subsequent versions. Then, very important, we want to see evidence of version control. So your certification documentation most likely will be version 1.0 or version 1, whatever you choose. All right, but now you already have the second version, version 2. But we now discover that IT has version 1, information security has version 2, operations have version 1, HR has version 2. So all that is you are now having confusion, all right, all over the organization, right? So one document, multiple versions. So the auditors will most likely also check for evidence of version control. So please, documentation, we cannot overemphasize this. Remember, even your certification, all right, your stage one audit is basically review of documentation, the design of the management system. While stage two is the hands-on, right? So ensure that your documentations are in order. Okay, then factor three to be considered in surveillance audit is internal audit. All right, the clause 9.2 says that internal audit shall be carried out at planned intervals. All right, so the worst case scenario for internal audit is annually. That's a worst case scenario. All right, best case scenario is quarterly. All right, best case scenario is quarterly. So of course, you have 1 year between the certification audit and the surveillance audit. So we are expecting that, right, worst case scenario, you must have done at least one internal audit. So we want to see that the audit reports. We want to see the audit report. We want to see the internal audit plan for that audit you have done. So remember those two considerations when it comes to internal audit. You must have your internal audit report ready before surveillance audit. All right. The fourth consideration is management review. All right, the standard says also 9.3 that management review must be performed at planned intervals. Best case scenarios quarterly, worst case scenario is annually. So at least you must have had one management review meeting. So we want to see the minutes of that management review meeting when you are presenting to the surveillance auditor. All right, factor 5 is the Capal Log. The auditors auditing you for a surveillance audit want to see your Capal Log. So that is basically the log where you are keeping non-conformities, all right, that have been raised against your implementation, all right. So it could come, the non-conformities could come from the internal audit, could come from management review, could come from monitoring, all right, and so on. So want to see the want to see that you have a Capal Log, and of course by surveillance audits, that Capal Log cannot be blank. Definitely, it cannot. All right, it cannot. All right. So the certification audit most likely will have raised some non-conformities. The internal audit before certification audit must have raised some non-conformities. All right. The internal audit after the certification audit must have raised non-conformity. So we want to see that the Capal Log is appropriately updated. They want to see the status of the non-conformities. All right, are they pending? Are they open? Are they closed? All right, and if they are still, if they are open or they are pending, the auditors want to ask questions. All right, why are these non-conformities? Why are they not resolved? So you need to actually keep your eyes on the Capal Log when you are preparing for surveillance audit. Okay, the sixth consideration is the evidence of continual improvements. All right, so it's 1 year ago you got certification. All right, so we want to see your continual improvement log. What are the improvements you have identified over the last 1 year? All right. So what are the improvements you have identified? What are the improvements you have implemented? If you have identified certain improvements and you have not implemented them, why? What are the challenges that you are facing? The auditor will be interested in knowing, all right, what you have improved and what you have identified as improvement and how far have you gone with the implementation of those improvements. All right, so the seventh consideration on which every other firm we are doing in surveillance audit is revolving on is change management. That's just the keywords in surveillance audit. So have you been able to identify changes to your internal and external context? Remember your clause 4, all right? So clause 4 talking about the internal and external context of the management system. 4.1 clause 4.2 talking about stakeholders and their requirements. Clause 4.3 scope, right, of the management system. So what are the changes to those contexts? Have you been able to identify? And of course, the auditors most likely would also be coming from your background. Most of the time, the auditors are audits a sector, at least, I don't know as a rule, all right, that at least one of the auditors in the team must have sectoral background. So they too will have identified those changes, all right, that have occurred in the last 1 year in the sector, in the country. And so they already have a list they want to see in implementation documents. So they want to see whether you have identified those changes, and they want to see how your management system, all right, have responded to those identified changes, whether the rest we have responded appropriately to the changes. All right, so that is what I have for us in this presentation. The important considerations, okay, when 7 key factors, when we're preparing for IMS surveillance audits, whether the first surveillance audit or the second surveillance audit. Thank you.